Hey, it's Emma Chamberlain. I designed these new glasses for Warby Parker, and I basically can't take them off. Like, I'm showering in them and sleeping in them. They're just that good. Go see them all at warbyparker.com. And you know what? Have a good day too. Okay? All right? Bye.
How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 1.
My fellow Americans, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number, 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, you can always text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777. If you want to be on the program, well, he's kind of done it now. He didn't know I was going to do this. I have a listener. At some point, I'm going to get to Ohio and meet him in person because he works for one of my favorite companies. It'll remain nameless right now because I don't want to out Alex. But he just emailed me right at the start of the show. And his email, let me just read you this. I'm only emailing you because I know you keep an informal poll on these things. My principles dictate I will not vote for Trump or Biden this fall, but the latter's withdrawal of support for Israel was one of my tripwires. If he doesn't reverse course on this, or he does, but only after Israel's war on Hamas is blunted, I'll compromise my principles and vote for Trump. These are times when principles, in this case anyway, must give way to reality. That's listener Alex. Jonah Goldberg put this up 15 hours ago. For what it's worth, I've heard from lots of reliably anti-Trump people, I mean really, really anti-Trump people, who have had it with Biden tonight. Anecdotal to be sure, but very telling in my circle. What did Joe Biden do? Well, he admitted on CNN that his administration is withholding arms for Israel despite signing into law an arms and aid package for Israel.
We've held up the weapons. We've held up the one shipment that, as an old shipment, it was designed. We held that up.
We held that up. He admits it. You want to know how badly this is going for Democrats? Scott Jennings on CNN got David Axelrod very flustered by pointing out the obvious.
Republicans in Congress are going to be livid about this issue
because
right
they
here.
think they have a good issue.
Well,
Scott,
no.
I get it. I think they think that
No.
he's the president of the United States. They're just politicians.
Axelrod's
trying to take
defensive.
advantage of a situation.
Well, no, I
get
think
that.
they support our ally, and maybe he doesn't. They're going to recall a time when we impeached the president of the United States for withholding military aid authorized by Congress from Ukraine. $400 million. That was the basis of the impeachment. This is congressionally authorized military aid to our ally, and he is withholding it for political reasons.
The basis, so wait 1 second. I'm sorry, it's your
That's
show.
okay, go.
The basis of that impeachment was that the president of the United States called the president of Ukraine, and he said, I want you to do me a favor and open an investigation on the person who I think may be my opponent in the next election. That was the basis of
And he
the
wants
impeachment.
Israel to stand down on Rafah because his base is mad at him. It's a political reason.
Scott, the analogy just doesn't hold.
Yeah, actually, David, it works pretty damn well. The former president of the United States was impeached by Democrats in Congress for trying to game an election through withholding aid to Ukraine. The present president of the United States is trying to game an election by withholding congressionally approved aid to a foreign ally that is at war. You Democrats can quibble and nuance all you want, but you actually know it's the same situation. A president trying to shape a domestic political election by withholding congressionally approved aid from an ally in need. It's the same scenario. You can add all your caveats, you can add all your nuances to try to say they're not, but you know it's true, and you know it's true by how defensive you are by the comparison. You can't laugh this one off. You got to get angry about it because you know it's true, and you can't have the American people focus on it. That's how bad this is going. The President of the United States himself acknowledging the situation. This is Lloyd Austin under hot grilling by Congress.
We are currently reviewing some near-term security assistance shipments in the context of unfolding events in Rafah.
So you agree with the pause, and I mean, you were consulted and agree with the pause, Mr. Secretary?
I think we haven't made any decisions. We did pause as we reevaluated some of the security assistance that we're providing. So we've been very clear, Senator, as you know, from the very beginning that Israel shouldn't launch a major attack into Rafah without accounting for and protecting the civilians that are in that battle space. And again, as we have assessed the situation, we paused one shipment of high payload munitions. And again, I think we've also been very clear about the steps that we'd like to see Israel take to account for and take care of those civilians before major combat takes place.
Now, there's actually an irony here that has gone unreported. Allow me to be the first to tell you how this decision, and I want to be clear here, for those of you who are progressives, you're getting more residents of Gaza murdered by Israel, if you want to call them murdered. More are going to die. Joe Biden's decision to withhold munitions from Israel is going to kill a lot more people. You know why? Because the weapons Israel is not getting from the United States are precision-guided weapons. Therefore, Israel is not going to withhold its invasion of Rafah. They're going to use their general ammunition instead of the precision-guided munitions. The general ammunition can't be guided, therefore it's more destructive and will kill more civilians. So Joe Biden's genius decision to shape political considerations in this country by withholding precision-guided munitions from Israel is going to get more people in Gaza killed because Israel's not going to stop. They're just going to use their stockpile of regular munitions instead of the precision-guided kind. A whole lot more people are going to get killed now, thanks to you guys on the left who decided to cajole Joe Biden into doing this. You care so much about Gaza, you're going to get more of them killed. Well done. And in this process, Joe Biden is undermining his claims to be the adult in the room and the leader in the room who puts serious considerations of international security ahead of domestic politics. He's doing this because he needs the anti-Semites of the left to vote for him. That's what this is about. And that's what got Donald Trump impeached by the Democrats, because he wanted to shape domestic political politics and get dirt on Joe Biden from Ukraine. So he withheld aid from Ukraine, telling them, I'll give you the aid if you start the investigation on Joe Biden. It was all about domestic election consequences. Joe Biden's doing the exact same thing to Israel. Therefore, he should be impeached. The Republicans have screwed up the impeachment of Joe Biden so far. They've gotten confused. They've gotten distracted. They have failed to handle it appropriately. They now have a real issue. Joe Biden, in his own words, refusing to fund the aid. And it's not just any aid package. It's one Congress itself approved. When Congress approves this, so there's a law, it was passed during the Nixon administration. I think it's a bad law, actually. I think the law should be repealed. I don't think the president should be allowed, or I think the president should be allowed the discretion to withhold spending. But Congress actually passed a law in the 1970s because Richard Nixon would do that. Congress would appropriate money for things, and Nixon would say, it's not needed, I'm not going to spend it. So Congress passed a law overriding a Nixon veto saying that the president of the United States does not have any discretion. When Congress appropriates money, the executive branch has to spend the money. Joe Biden is violating that law by not appropriating and spending the money Congress appropriated for Israel. This is impeachable. It's also condemnable. 60 some odd % of Americans support Israel. Of Americans who want a ceasefire, they want a ceasefire after the hostages have come home. I want to give you the number. You need to remember the number. 132. When you get up in the morning, when you go to bed at night, I want you to remember the number 132. That's the number of Israeli and American citizens total held by Hamas today. 132 American and Israeli citizens being held by Hamas. Joe Biden said he would not rest until they come home. They're not home, but not only has Joe Biden decided to rest, he's decided to betray Israel. Joe Biden has turned his back on our ally because the anti-Semites in Dearborn, Michigan voted uncommitted in the February Democratic primary. That's what all of this is about. He's given the hecklers a veto. And once you give the hecklers a veto, they become emboldened to demand more. And what we're seeing from the left, what we're seeing from the Biden administration, what we see from the Democratic Party is they constantly give in to the hecklers and their veto. They constantly give the hecklers what they want. For those of you worried about the return of Donald Trump, stuff like this is going to get Donald Trump reelected. You don't want Donald Trump? Joe Biden seems to want Donald Trump to get reelected. The fact that Joe Biden has decided that he's got to give in to the anti-Semites of the left in order to win his reelection is going to be one of the things that costs him his election. Didn't go well for Lloyd Gates. Lindsey Graham had a pretty heated exchange with him as well on things that should or should not be done.
What's Israel interested in? Do you believe Iran really wants to kill all the Jews if they could? The Iranian regime, yeah. Do you believe Hamas is serious when they say we'll keep doing it over and over again? Do you agree that they will if they can?
I do. Hamas,
okay,
but
right. Do you believe that Hezbollah is a terrorist organization also bent on the destruction of the Jewish state?
Hezbollah is a terrorist organization.
Okay, so Israel's been hit in the last few weeks by Iran, Hezbollah, and Hamas, dedicated to their destruction. And you're telling me you're going to tell them how to fight the war and what they can and can't use when everybody around them wants to kill all the Jews? And you're telling me that if we withhold weapons in this fight, the existential fight for the life of the Jewish state, it won't send the wrong signal? Do you still think it was a good idea, General Austin, to get out of Afghanistan?
I support the president's decision.
Yeah, I think you do. I think it was a disastrous decision.
Good for Lindsey Graham there. You know what a lot of this is about? It's the Democratic Party and the left hates Bibi Netanyahu. They don't like Israel's prime minister, and they're trying to undermine Israel's prime minister. And Ron Brownstein on CNN, he's had a series of tweets, and I know, and like Ron, I think he's wrong. Ron really doesn't like Bibi Netanyahu, and he's talking about these decisions are premised on Netanyahu burning goodwill with Americans, and he needs to leave. I don't think American Democrats and political commentators on television understand the situation in Israel, really, because in Israel, the left and the right are united on the elimination of Hamas, and they're willing to hold their nose and allow Bibi to wage war in Israel against Hamas across Gaza in order to eliminate. They'll deal with Bibi later. That the American Democrats hate Bibi Netanyahu so much that they're willing to do this. All it does is strengthen Israel's resolve and recognition that they are alone in the world and they must take action themselves. And so again, the bitter irony here is that more people in Gaza are going to die because of what the Democrats have just done. Because Israelis, left, right, and center agree Hamas must be eliminated. Their last stronghold is Rafah, so Rafah must be eliminated. So what Israel is going to do without precision-guided weapons from the United States is use their general munitions that are not guided, and they will level Rafah to kill the people who killed the Jews, and they will be justified in doing so. And when all of you on the left get really upset about the death toll, you remember you're the ones who wanted Joe Biden to do what he did, and so you are the ones who provoked Israel to go further and use general ammunition instead of worrying about precision-guided weapons. They were willing to limit the death toll. You just told them, we're not going to let you do that. So more people in Gaza are going to die because of what Joe Biden has done. He should be impeached.
This is the sound of your ride home with Dad after he caught you vaping. Awkward, isn't it? Most vapes contain seriously addictive levels of nicotine and disappointment. Know the real cost of vapes. Brought to you by the FDA.
Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson. The phone number is 877-973-7425. If you want to be on the program, love to have you. As always, if you text ENGAGE, E-N-G-A-G-E, text ENGAGE to 33777, you can get tickets to our upcoming live event in August, the 8th through the 11th. It is the annual gathering, and we bring our on radio and online audience together in person to hang out with me and hear from leaders of the conservative movement. We've extended invites to people like Speaker Johnson, Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, Doug Ducey, former governor of Arizona, Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, a lot of great candidates for the Senate as well. Eric Hovde, Dave McCormick, Jim Banks. We got way more. Also Vice President Pence as well. We've invited him to come back. It'll be a great event in Atlanta, August 8th through the 11th. If you text the word ENGAGE to 33777, you can get tickets. It'll be at the Grand Hyatt in Buckhead in Atlanta. Looking forward to having you there. Now, those of you on the phones, be real patient. I will get to your phone calls, but I need to point something out, and it's actually a pretty important point. When Donald Trump was president of the United States, one of the charges leveled against Trump and a point of persuasion for Democrats was that you needed to vote for Joe Biden because Donald Trump was undermining our alliances and national security by putting his needs and interests ahead of those of the United States of America. So vote for Joe Biden because he's an adult and leader, and he will do what's right, not what's politically expedient. And he will not bully our allies for personal gain. I don't know how a single American ally can look at what Joe Biden is doing with Israel and recognize that their relationship with the United States could be undermined by Joe Biden's domestic political chances. By cutting aid to Israel because Joe Biden needs his election chances in this country to improve, Joe Biden has signaled to every ally that his relationship with the ally may change based on whether or not Joe Biden's base of support likes that ally, and that's not reassuring at all. Hillsdale College documents why truth and honesty and integrity matter, and you can read about articles like that and so much of the conservative movement in Imprimis completely for free by going to ericforhillsdale.com, E-R-I-C-K, ericforhillsdale.com. You go sign up for Imprimis with Hillsdale College. It will arrive in your mailbox. You will get it completely free. You'll never, ever pay for Imprimis. I've been getting it since I was in law school. I've never paid a penny for it. It's part of Hillsdale College's educational mission to reach out to conservatives and Americans who are interested in conservative thought leaders and what they have to say. It's a great read. It comes in your mailbox completely for free. You go to ericforhillsdale.com, E-R-I-C-K, ericforhillsdale.com. You'll get leading insights from people like Christopher Rufo and Heather McDonald, Victor Davis Hanson, Larry Arnn, the president of Hillsdale. It's all about advancing Hillsdale's educational mission. It's why it's completely free, and it begins a great relationship for you with Hillsdale College. ericforhillsdale.com, E-R-I-C-K. You'll never pay a penny. You'll get it in your mailbox, ericforhillsdale.com.
This episode is brought to you by Opel, the first over-the-counter daily birth control pill available in the U.S. Opel is FDA approved, full prescription strength and estrogen-free. Plus, there's no prescription needed. Finally, the days of needing a prescription for birth control are over. Opel is available online and at most major retailers. Take control of your health and reproductive journey with Opel. Birth control in your control. Use code BIRTHCONTROL for 25% off your first month of Opel at opel.com.
Hello, my friends. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. If you want to be on the program, I'm happy to have you with me. I need to make a point here before I go on, and it's based on an email from a listener, and it's worth pointing out. If you are a longtime listener, you know I have been dismissive of Republican efforts to impeach Joe Biden. There wasn't much there, and it was all a tit for tat. It was very clear when the Republicans took back Congress, the House of Representatives in particular, they flat out said they were going to impeach Joe Biden, and they clearly made it payback for the impeachment of Donald Trump. So it really wasn't about anything Joe Biden did specifically. It was about what they did to Democrats did to Donald Trump. And this was a tit for tat, which undermines impeachment. I have been dismissive, and I have taken shots from listeners and conservatives online and others for not having the back of the GOP as they pursued impeachment. But impeachment must mean something other than a tit for tat. This is impeachable. The Democrats set the standard and precedent with Donald Trump over Ukraine. As much as the Democrats want to caveat a nuance and claim it's different, foundationally they are both the same. To shape domestic elections in this country, withholding aid to allies. That's what Donald Trump was impeached for. It's what Joe Biden has just done. The White House, you should know, has sent John Kirby out in the last 10 minutes to clarify and claim this was old. This was stuff prior to congressional approval. It hasn't happened since, but is making no guarantees it's not going to happen. It all depends on what Israel does. This is impeachable. The President of the United States has jeopardized our and an ally's national security for domestic political concerns. I have refused to go down the impeachment road with Joe Biden. I have with Alejandro Mayorkas. I have said the entire time we were wasting our time on Joe Biden's impeachment. And in fact, it's been very clear House Republicans were wasting their time. In fact, they're not going to impeach Joe Biden on the Biden crime family nonsense. They should on this. They should absolutely do it and make the Democrats own it and highlight it and show the hypocrisy of the Democrats on this. They were willing to impeach Donald Trump for the same damn thing. And they can nuance it. They can caveat it. They can say it's different. It is not. It is the withholding of aid and ammunition to an ally to shape a domestic presidential election. If it was impeachable for Donald Trump, it's impeachable for Joe Biden. I don't care how you Democrats try to excuse it. The bottom foundational line is this. He's withholding aid from an ally to shape a domestic political election. That's impeachable. You said so yourself with Donald Trump. Now, to the phones. Tim, you're going to be up first. Welcome to the show. Tim, how are you?
Doing great, Eric. Thanks for having me on. My main comment was, have we not forgotten about all the innocent civilian lives that were killed in Iraq? 500,000? How many died in Afghanistan? I mean, we're going to deny Israel the capability to defend itself in its own war on terrorism. If I'm not mistaken, the number of Israelis that were killed on October the 7th extrapolates proportionately population-wise to 35 to 40,000 people dead. And you're trying to tell me that you know, as America, we're going to have some other country try and tell us how we're going to fight the war, our war on terror? It's just the hypocrisy that Joe Biden is displaying to try and win over a few votes in Dearborn. How many is he going to lose in the American Jewish, who usually the Jewish bloc votes overwhelmingly Democrat most of the time? But when you look at the polls, how much support he's lost between African Americans, how much support he's lost with Hispanics. Does he not know the math? For every vote that he's going to get for somebody who's sympathetic to Palestine, he's going to lose in the Jewish side. I don't understand.
Tim, to your point, Israel, if you take percentage of population killed on October 7th and compare it to percentage of population killed on September 11th, 2001, it was a significantly higher percentage of Israel's population killed than the American population. And we have no business dictating to Israel how it wishes to wipe out its enemy. And here's another thing, Tim, is normally in civilian urban conflict, the kill ratio is 5 civilians for 1 enemy. 5 civilians die for every 1 enemy killed in urban conflict. That's the average in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in World War II, in Vietnam. 5 civilians, one bad guy. Israel, it's 2 to 1. They've done such a good job of minimizing civilian impact, and yet they're being penalized. Still, we're tying their hands so much. Yes, it's offensive and absurd that Biden would do this.
It truly is, and it defies logic. I mean, I'm just, a regular citizen, but I sit back and I look at all this stuff, and none of it makes any sense, Eric. None of it.
Yeah.
But when you're a party that's based on Machiavellianism, and I love it that you bring up the prince and stuff like that, because when the ends justify the means, it doesn't matter about a political election. It doesn't matter about a war. You will do whatever you have to do, not even thinking about morality or the law or anything. You will do whatever you think you have to do to win.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the differences between the Democrats and the Republicans.
Yep.
I'm seeing more and more that they are just losing their moral compass altogether.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. They are. Tim, thanks very much for the phone call. Blake, Jacksonville, Florida on WOKV. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I am well. Thank you very much, Eric. I missed you when you were here in Jacksonville. My
I'll be
purpose
back.
of reaching out to you. I'm sorry?
I'll be back.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much. The reason I'm reaching out to you is because I'm hoping that other communities across the nation will do what we're trying to get accomplished here in Jacksonville at City Council on Tuesday. And that is to respond to all the crazy people who have been coming down since October 10th, when Jacksonville City Council passed a resolution supporting Israel. We've got those Hamas crazies coming down and harassing City Council. But with all the things that have been going on recently, I thought it would be a great idea to do basically what was a Twin Towers observance, where we read the names of the hostages into the record at City Council and lift up their names and make their names the most important thing that people hear and understand and see.
Look, I think that's a great idea. Bring several people in, divide up the list, 132 remaining hostages. Everybody forgets about them. And it is remarkable to me that all the people jeering the Jacksonville City Council and others that have done this don't want to talk about the hostages, don't want to mention their names, don't want to know they exist. Yes, I would encourage anyone who can to join you. So when are you planning on doing it?
Well, here in Jacksonville, we're going to be doing it on the 14th. And actually tonight I'm having a meeting over at one of our local libraries to get coordinated, because we have very little amount of time. So we're hoping to get 20 to 30 people to meet with us tonight. And then we're going to coordinate how to do this. So we do this during public comment, because public comment at City Council, you're really only given 1 minute to 2 minutes. So we're looking to get 20 to 30 people to do this. And that's the whole thing for all the other communities, whether it's a city council or a county commission. It's just a huge statement of righteous support for the hostages and for Israel. That's
fantastic. Blake, best of luck to you down in Jacksonville. Those of you in the newsroom at WOKV, just keep that in mind for May 14th when people show up at City Council to do that. The public comment time can be powerful. Every single one of the people who is protesting protesting Israel on these college campuses, and every single one of the people cheering Joe Biden on for what he's doing, have totally forgotten the hostages. 132 people still held hostage, some living, some dead bodies at this point. When Hamas said it accepted the ceasefire, what it didn't say is in accepting the ceasefire, it changed the agreed upon terms. One of the terms was living hostages. Hamas changed it to dead hostages. Said they were accepting the ceasefire with just some minor word changes. I would submit to you that changing the word living to dead is not minor, nor is changing the word temporary to permanent before the word ceasefire. Yet a lot of the media was willing to go along with Hamas. A lot of the media now circling the wagons against accusations that Joe Biden did something impeachable. If you missed this, I want to play this again. I know Scott Jennings. I know David Axelrod. I like both men, even as I disagree with David on his politics. But when Scott Jennings brings this up, you can tell David Axelrod knows it's a bad idea. You can tell because of how defensive he gets. That tends to be a sign you've been got by the other side when you're this defensive on live television.
Republicans in Congress are going to be livid about this issue
because
right
they
here.
think they have a good issue.
Well,
Scott,
no.
I get it. I think they think that he's the president of the United States. They're just politicians trying to take advantage of a situation.
Well, no, I think they support our ally, and maybe he doesn't. They're going to recall a time when we impeached the president of the United States for withholding military aid authorized by Congress from Ukraine. $400 million. That was the basis of the impeachment. This is congressionally authorized military aid to our ally, and he is withholding it for political reasons.
Wait 1 second. I'm sorry, it's your show.
Go.
The basis of that impeachment was that the president of the United States called the president of Ukraine, and he said, I want you to do me a favor and open an investigation on the person who I think may be my opponent in the next election. That was the basis
and
of
he
the
wants
impeachment.
Israel to stand down on Rafah because his base is mad at him. It's a political reason.
Scott, the analogy just doesn't hold.
Actually, it does hold very well, and that David's got to be so defensive about it. Makes you realize Scott Jennings is right on target here. The Democrats, the Biden administration having to send John Kirby out to do damage control in this tells you everything you need to know about how damaging Joe Biden's comments were. Why? Because the White House has refused the entire time to admit that this was the case. They've refused to acknowledge it, and then Aaron Burnett pushed Joe Biden on it. And by the way, I got to say this. Aaron Burnett on CNN deserves a heck of a lot of credit for how she did this interview with Joe Biden. It shows you journalism still matters in this country. She provoked a lot of news by getting Joe Biden on the record. The White House has refused to acknowledge publicly that they were withholding weapons from Israel. She got him to admit it. Not only did she get him to admit it, she got him to do a couple of other things that were actually pretty damaging to him. He was dismissive of polling on the economy. He was dismissive of people's concerns on the economy, which we will get into. It was a very big newsmaker headline, in large part because Joe Biden went in expecting a softball interview, and Aaron Burnett did not provide a softball interview. She made a lot of news, and all she did was let Joe Biden speak without a teleprompter or notes. I suspect this may be the last big interview we see Joe Biden do before a prominent American journalist. Aaron Burnett deserves a lot of credit. Now, I want to give Vision Computers credit for solving one of the headaches in my family. So I am the tech support guy in my family. Anybody got a computer problem? Well, I'm the guy they call. And with Vision, we got my son a gaming PC, and he calls Vision Computer in 15 seconds or less. He can get an answer to anything he's got going on with his computer that he's not sure what to do. They've helped him get his email set up. They've helped him with his printer. They've helped me be able to monitor his computer as a parent. They've been great. They answer all the questions, and they make it very easy. They can do it for you as well. Even if you didn't buy a computer from Vision Computers, for $179 a year, not a month, they can become your tech support. And in 15 seconds or less, you or your employees, if you're a small business, $179 per computer, a year, not a month. They can be your IT support. They got thousands of 5-star Google reviews. They do it so well. You can call them. They answer the phone. They don't put you on hold. They don't make you queue up. They just have people there to answer your questions, and you do not have to have bought a computer from Vision. However, we did. And if you do buy a computer from Vision, not only will they spec it for you exactly as you want it and need it instead of the one-size-fits-all for the big box store, they work with you. They explain what the different components are. If you have questions, what's a GPU, what's a CPU, what's RAM, what's ROM, all that. They answer those questions for you in easy-to-understand ways to help you make the smartest decision so that you have a computer that's going to last. And then their tech support is free. 404-COMPUTE's their number, 404-COMPUTE. Or visioncomputers.com. If you call them at 404-COMPUTE, you tell them I sent you, you get an even better deal. Visioncomputers.com or 404-COMPUTE.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
This hour of the program brought to you by First Liberty Building and Loan. If you're buying a building, buying a franchise, expanding, that's the sort of deals First Liberty does. If you need $250,000 or more, reach out to them. FirstLibertyGA.com. FirstLibertyGA.com. Tell them I sent you and see if they're a fit for you and you for them. Y'all, I gotta give the golf clap to Jake Tapper. He went live yesterday with the vote to oust Mike Johnson. This is how it went.
Here we go.
Ayes are 43 with 7 answering present. The motion is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
So that is the death of Marjorie Taylor Greene's motion to vacate, offered by Congressman Steve Scalise. The motion to table is essentially Kristi Noem taking a shotgun to Cricket's head. It's the death of that effort.
It's essentially Kristi Noem taking a shotgun to Cricket's head. Well done. Oh, Marjorie has beclowned herself again, showing herself to be impotent. And you know what's so funny is her spin on this was, well, I got more people than went against Kevin McCarthy, except she didn't. Because the Kevin McCarthy vote was an actual vote to oust the speaker, not a motion to table. And of those who voted with Marjorie, several of them came out and said, oh, they weren't actually going to vote to oust the speaker. They just didn't like setting the precedent of tabling a motion to oust the speaker, so they were going to let it proceed. But they would have voted against her on the ultimate outcome. She would not have gotten 8 people to go along with her. What an embarrassment. You people out there in Paulding County and Rome and the like of the district, my gosh, I know you like her. But she beclowns herself all the time, and she's terrible at constituent service. She's great at getting attention for herself. She's not good at helping her district, but people want entertainment, I guess, and she's entertaining for those of you out in her district. But good gracious. Not only this, so she's going to be marginalized, and that's going to hurt you guys in her district. It's because you're going to have Republicans not willing to work with Marjorie on constituent needs in her district. It's ultimately going to work to put the people in her district worse off because she beclowns herself all the time. She couldn't get the votes. It was the overwhelming majority of Republicans. Only 11 Republicans supported the act. The rest of them, hundreds of them, 190 some odd Republicans, opposed it, and then almost all the Democrats did. More Democrats voted with Marjorie than Republicans did. But she doesn't care. She's back on TV saying it's a moral victory. I remember after 2004 when George Bush got reelected, the Democrats said it was actually a moral victory that they lost. That's Marjorie's spin. She's just not good at anything other than attention for herself. But hey, some of you want to be entertained, and so you'll send me hate mail for being mean to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Not that she gets anything done for you. It's just you like that she's entertaining. And oh my God, she fights. You know what? I watch UFC fights. Don't particularly like them, but my friends do, and so I watch them with them. There is always one guy in the arena who fights and gets the crap kicked out of him and loses the fight, and that's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yes, she fights. She fights and loses almost every single time, but at least she makes it entertaining for you, so y'all just keep getting her reelected. And meanwhile, her district is poorly served and her constituent services suck. But hey, at least she makes you happy.